We all suffer from them in different ways. Pro riders, well, suffer less. At least they suffer faster. I think that's probably the way. Niels Pollitt sitting at the back here, the German rider. Tall, but great ability on the climbs in Tour of California. It's a solid effort to make it with this group. Rafa Majka looks comfortable, sitting in the wheels. He's got a teammate on the front, setting the agenda. Trek Segafredo want to make this as difficult as possible for the sprinters to get back in contention here. No sign of Marcel Kittel, and the Quick-Step squad have gone back. One rider in there, but the rest of the team is back, trying to pace the German rider back into contention. He's not out of it by any means.
Yeah, I'd say Enric Mas will be, and probably Schachmann will be in this group. I've only seen one blue jersey though, but it would surprise me if they send both of those guys or any of those guys back to pick up Marcel Kittel. I'd say he's got enough riders in the back there who are capable of riding hard and bringing him back, and certainly on a long enough descent like this as well. As long as you have, it's not necessarily a technical descent as such, but it really means that you have to work as a team and almost do relays, like go through enough team time trialing, but slipstreaming each other and sling shooting past the guy in front of you, and then just trying and somehow to whip up the pace. And I know you're not supposed to necessarily, but a little bit of a hand sling going down the hill as well, so you just tuck your hand back and grab a hold of your mate and just give him a bit of a helping hand and slinging past you. That tends to drive the pace up incredibly much.
I'll try that at home, folks. The best place riders from Team Quick-Step.
It is brilliant fun when you're doing 90k an hour on a descent.
I can imagine. I'm going to have to imagine, yeah. Certainly wouldn't ever try it. Now, this is Andrew Talansky. Feels that the tempo not quite at the pace that he might have hoped for, but certainly Cannondale Drapac believe that they need to set the agenda, move it on a little bit. Great work been done this week by Nathan Brown as well, of course. That was Talansky. It looks like he's full of fight, and that's definitely the characteristic. Good time trial performance yesterday from Andrew Talansky, finishing third, as expected, the best of the GC riders. Well, for all that, Brent Bookwalter, of course, managed to finish second on the stage. Great effort from Bookwalter. Moved up to fourth overall, 45 seconds back, and just 9 seconds behind Andrew Talansky, who at least held off Brent Bookwalter. Talansky moving up into third. But George Bennett just in fourth position, just behind Talansky by the narrowest of margin, just 2 seconds further back, and that was not as expected. So great effort from George Bennett in the time trial yesterday. Got to do it all over again today, though. That's stage racing. Can't rest on your laurels. George Bennett and Rafa Majka have spotted the danger here, because well, a few cracks appearing at the front. Theo Geoghegan Hart is going to try and just jog over that gap, across the gap, and indeed it's Team Sunweb that have a couple of riders. Sam Oman to the fore. Geoghegan Hart's just sitting third in line of these riders in white, and he's just covered this attack. Oman.
Be interesting though to see what's going to happen with this here now, because Bennett is now isolated, and Talansky is isolated himself. Majka has now got a teammate up in the front here with Peter Sagan, and it's quite a good teammate to have, to be fair.
Well, are we going to see the attack after attack after attack and see who's standing afterwards? Peter Sagan is able to follow the wheels, and he's and of course Bora Hansgrohe have another rider in there, so they've got a couple of riders now. That first attack has been covered. Where's the next one coming? Will it be Talansky again? Will Theo Geoghegan Hart be drawn into this? And I suppose if one rider does it, another rider does it, then suddenly everyone gets involved, and it.
Yeah, can't let them all have all the fun on their own, can you?
Indeed. It's great to see this ambition. Great to see an attacking race at the moment. That's just throttled back a little bit, though, so they've kind of just decided to keep their powder dry.
What we've got to think of here is, I think is that Tvetkov?
That's one of the
the
Jelly Belly
Romanian.
riders.
Yeah. What we've got to remember here now, we've just gone past the King of the Mountains, but there's a bit of a kick up here. Then we start descending, and we come down to a bit of a plateau after about, I'd say, 9-10 kilometers or so. And then we got the intermediate sprint down there. And I'm thinking that that's what Talansky is after here, is actually trying to put enough pressure, trying to get away from Rafa Majka to go down and pick up some points down there. Ideally get away from the likes of Peter Sagan as well, because but then again, they need to catch up 52 seconds.
Yeah, they've got to get across to those 6 riders, but those 3 seconds, they're tempting, aren't they? They're waiting at the bottom of the valley, and Nathan Brown tries the next attack. Cannondale Dratbach rider, and that one is covered. Peter Sagan is starting to drift towards the front just by covering each of these. Will he be minded to get involved in the scrap? I suspect his main agenda at the moment will be to look after Rafa Majka. Just goes to the front.
I think Peter Sagan is probably quite happy with the current scenario. He's one of the best climbers out of the sprinters, and I think with that, the harder we can go up these climbs and the more pressure we can put on the rest of the world and get rid of some of the fast men, the better his odds of winning at the end of the day are getting.
Well, Peter Sagan goes to the front, and Rafa Majka has spotted that he has a teammate on the front. Indeed, he goes straight to the front himself and wants to set the agenda. I think he wants to set a tempo. Doesn't want to see this stop-start affair with riders being encouraged to attack. I think perhaps he wants to set a pace that will make it difficult. But you wonder, is he protecting second or going for first?
Well, you never know. I think first will be difficult, even if Bennett is isolated. All he needs to do really is keep an eye on Majka, and Majka will worry about the rest of the bunch. So I'd say 1 or 2 guys that he needs to keep a bit of an eye on. The rest will sort itself out.
Well, Lachlan Morton is looking to move up on general classification. Still 6 riders clear. Team Rally Cycling Team with 3 riders in there. We're on the final stage of the Amgen Tour of California, and it's been a hugely entertaining fair so far. The 6 riders up front, it's the break of the day, if you will, but they've never had more than a minute and a quarter advantage. And they've been over 3 classified climbs. It's more or less downhill to the finish, but there are a couple little of ramps up that could catch them out. These 6 riders are bravely trying to hold off what's left of the peloton. The peloton chasing at a remove of 47 seconds now. Nicolas Ede on the front here in the red colours of Cofidis, just making way for Team Rally Cycling Teams. It looks like Evan Huffman, and of course in there as well Sepp Kuss and Rob Britton. Meanwhile, this is what's left of the main group. There will be riders on this long descent trying to get back in and try and get involved in what they believe will be a sprint at the end. But the way that the main contenders have been attacking each other of late, and look at the yellow jersey lurking at the back of the group. He's gone to the back to see has he got teammates. Sitting, I believe, second last rider in the group. Maybe he's just moving up now. And George Bennett, well, he's done a great job so far of covering all the moves. Rafa Majka sitting 5th rider, is 2nd placed overall. The white jersey.
That's Matteo Trentin from Quick-Step in that group there now in the front.
Well, interesting situation that Trentin has stayed in there. Bennett is in the centre of shot, number 62. And the pale yellow jersey is much deeper yellow colour of the Lotto NL Jumbo of his teammate Dan Olivier. Just a few riders behind him. Now the attacks are continuing to happen. Is this Machado perhaps? No, someone a little bit taller perhaps. For Team Katusha.
Could be Zabel.
Well, he's on great form. I wouldn't be at all surprised. Rick Zabel, 2nd on the ramp up on stage 3. Holding on, he was leading out for Alexander Kristoff, and Kristoff couldn't get there, and Zabel had the power to sustain the effort all the way to the line. Finished second. The big win is coming soon, I think, for the big German. These long sweepers certainly encourage some very fast and committed descending.
Yeah, it certainly does. The one thing that I don't like about the descents here in the US are, if you're looking right by the yellow lines, they basically dig out a bit of a groove in the tarmac, and when you got your bike banked over about 45 degrees and putting maximum pressure on the on the tires, then those things are not the best to hit.
Yeah, you don't want to roll across when you're right on the limit of adhesion, do you? Sitting at the back of the group here, Leonard Hofstede. He's up the road early on. He tried to race across the gap to get into that move. Didn't quite make it. Now he's, I won't say struggling to hold on, but definitely following in the wheels. Peter Sagan.
Sagan and Trentin having a bit of a play on the descent here.
Well, there are a few better descenders in world cycling than Peter Sagan. Gave everyone a great thrill again the other day, didn't he, as he crested Mount Baldy and did a little no-hands wheelie to accept the plaudits of the crowd, who'd all turned out in fancy dress to celebrate the event. And well, no rider got a bigger cheer than Peter Sagan.
No, he just loves riding his bike, doesn't he? It's brilliant to see how he always enjoys himself, and it seems to be playing around and just having a great time riding his bike. And I think there's a lot to take away from that. You know, there's.
He's relaxed, isn't he? He seems to be able to get the best out of himself.
Enjoying what he does.
Flash the caption up to indicate the riders that are in the group. Lachlan Morton is here for Team Dimension Data. Nicolas Ede in the deep red of Team Cofidis in France. David Lopez in the dark colours of Team Sky. And then the trio from Rally Cycling Team, Sepp Kuss, Rob Britton and Evan Hoffman. Peloton behind is absolutely flat chat, but they're not making much inroads. The latest update we've had is that they have lost, if anything, about 10 seconds since they've gone over the top of this final classified climb of the day. So it's going in the wrong direction for them. Still a long way to the finish. And Peter Sagan just, as you say, he just floats to the front, doesn't he? And he almost can't contain himself. The plan for Peter Sagan will surely to be at the head of affairs and sprint it out and see what he's capable of. But he is a rider who's is not afraid to try. He's a man for the classic season, where the great athletes and the riders who are able to race clear will often contest the victory and often do it in a solo situation. So he's not afraid of going out there and racing. He's not by any means a sit-in sprinter.
No, definitely not. He seems to adapt his racing style to whatever type of racing that he's actually doing, whether it's you know, if he goes for Grand Tour stages or green jerseys, then he races in one particular way. If he's going for these kind of races, the week-long stage races, he tends to change his way of racing a bit. And if the first day doesn't quite go to plan, then we'll switch around and ride our bikes in a different way. So it's just a very, very all-round kind of bike rider, but also aware of the tactical game in whatever way that he decides to ride and how to plan his racing. So I think for the majority of the young riders out there in the world, he's certainly a man to keep an eye on and learn an awful lot from when you're watching him race his bike on television.
Ede hits the front. Rob Britton in his wheel. Evan Hoffman. Next up, Lachlan Morton for Team Dimension Data, just moves ahead of Hoffman. The blue jersey of most courageous rider. It's the second day in a row he's had it. Was he deemed most courageous in the time trial, or was it just having won it on Mount Baldy, he gets to wear it for 2 days in a row?
I think it's like that.
It's the latter, yeah. Well, he won't be complaining. And they're collecting jerseys aplenty, Rally Cycling Team, because the mountains polka dots set to go on the shoulders of Hoffman for the final time. Peter Sagan has a 10-point lead over George Bennett in the sprint standings. So should there be a GC duke out, well, Sagan will be under pressure, but I think the likelihood is that he's home and hosed on that one. He's just got to make it through to the finish, and he should be secure in that jersey. George Bennett well to the fore, and the only jersey that he cares about is the yellow one. Ian Boswell from Team Sky involved in the attacks a little while ago. I wonder when the next attack is going to come. Will it be Andrew Talansky that kicks it off again? Or will they settle down and try and close this gap?
Just come up to the intermediate sprint here.
As Lachlan Morton just leads them through, heading to the intermediate sprint, the second one of the day. So the riders up front in the breakaway group are going to take the 3, 2 and 1 seconds, and indeed the points on offer there as well. So that will be source of contentment to Peter Sagan. Not that his green jersey is really under any serious threat. Morton makes way for Nicolas Ede. Slight figure of the Frenchman. Ede has slipped away a little bit in the last couple of days. As I said, he's 14th overall, 4 minutes and 7 seconds in arrears, so great opportunity for him to move up. A minute would move him up, well, not quite into the top 10. Heimer Zubeldia sits 3:14 down. And great appreciation for the riders in the breakaway and indeed in the main peloton. At the back, Ruben Guerrero from Trek Segafredo is feeling the effects of a long, hard week of racing. So into the final 16 miles of racing on the final stage of the Amgen Tour of California. The break of 6 still hanging on, almost a minute up the road. Poljanski's really put his shoulder to the wheel to try and close this one down. And the 6 riders up front, they've been there for a long time now, being chased by a relatively small, compact group who are believing that they can get back in touch. The 6 riders, Lachlan Morton, Nicolas Ede, David Lopez, Seb Kuss, Rob Britton and Evan Hoffman, have been clear across all 3 classified climbs today. And now it's the long, long tour down towards the outskirts of Los Angeles to the town of Pasadena. The camera picks out, well, the real hero of Tour of California racing over the years, Peter Sagan. 16 stage successes. Inside his teammate there, Rafa Majka in the Polish National Road Race Champions jersey. And Bora Hansgrohe, well, Majka has 2 riders to help him, and I suppose by turn Peter Sagan has 2 riders to help him. A total of 3 riders in there. As long as Rafa Majka is secure in that second position overall, I think he could well be of assistance to Peter Sagan. Always assuming that this group doesn't swell in number before we get to the finish. I wouldn't rule that out.
Now, you shouldn't rule it out, but I think it's also going to be very difficult to get back in, because these guys aren't hanging around. They're still working to try and catch the 6-man breakaway. There's obviously a group with Kittel and a whole bunch of very keen quick step floor riders who are going to work as hard as they possibly can to bring Marcel Kittel back into the game.
So are we going to see Matteo Trentin sitting second in line here, just behind Peter Sagan? Will he contribute to this effort?
No, definitely not. He's just sitting up there now, cruising around and moving out of the place to sort of, every time that someone wants to get around him, he'll let someone go, let those guys go around and do what the work that they want to take. But he'll just drift up to kind of second wheel and then sit there for a bit, and then by the time someone then has worked out that he's not going to go up and take his turn, the guy on the front to spend a lot more energy and also starting to get somewhat annoyed with him, which is obviously.
But he's interfering, but he's not doing anything
He's
illegal.
interfering without interfering, because there
yeah.
are certain unwritten rules in cycling that you don't do, and this is a perfect example of it. He's letting anyone who wants to do their work get up and do the work, but then he's kind of sitting there deterring people from actually making that effort to do it.
Yeah, they've just got to go that little bit further to get to the front. They've got to go around 2 riders instead of 1. It's good team play by Matteo Trentin. And he would be a great option for them should it come down to a sprint from this group, because he is a fine finisher in his own right. And Trentin can go long in a sprint. Rafa Majka is safely there in 4th position. The overall race leader, George Bennett, secure in this group as well. Andrew Talansky tried a little bit of tried to kick off the attacks on the last climb. Succeeded only really in distancing so many of his teammates and so many of everyone else's teammates. So he's isolated to a certain extent the race leader, George Bennett. Rafał Majka has options, has teammates. Andrew Talansky has Nathan Brown, who's been his faithful lieutenant for the entire week. Really, he's done Trojan work. And you just see Peter Sagan just flicking across those yellow lines, and in between the cat's eyes, they would keep you worried, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. It's always difficult because the apex of the corner, you got to sort of time the point where you're diving across the yellow lines and missing out on those sort of cutout bits there as well. And it's so easy to miscalculate that and just clip the edge with your tires and effectively puncture and yeah, or be unfortunate enough to come down. So sitting down on the top tube and flicking through those kind of things, that there's not many people that are gonna, safely do that.
Well, what a week it has been in California. This the 7th and final stage. It all kicked off in Pasadena last week with great stage success, great sprint success for Marcel Kittel ahead of Peter Sagan and Elia Viviani. From Modesto to San Jose on day 2, and it was Rafał Majka that took the stage honours, and with it the overall lead of the race that he would hold right through till the conclusion of yesterday's time trial. George Bennett second on that occasion, Ian Boswell getting up for third, Lachlan Morton fourth, and we remember Tom Squinch and his horrific crash, and he's recovering well at home, but that was certainly a dramatic stage. Majka in yellow as they raced through to Morro Bay and that 500-metre ramp up to the finish. It was a group finish, but it was not a classic normal sprinter's finish. For all that, it did go the way of a sprinter, and ultimately it was Peter Sagan that got the victory ahead of Rick Zabel and Simone Consoni. Alexander Kristoff on 4th position on that occasion. And racing into Santa Clarita on the following day, well, it was the break that managed to survive. The 5 riders clear. Evan Huffman leading in his teammate from Rally Cycling Team. Rob Britton, Leonard Hofstede, Matthias Latournier and Gavin Mannion, the heroes on the day, holding off the bunch by 13 seconds. And they'll talk about that for a long time in US racing circles. A bit of a famous day. Racing on the Queen stage on the following day up to Mount Baldy from Ontario. And brave effort and a wonderful success from Andrew Talansky, getting the victory in the same time as Rafał Majka. Majka defending manfully and controlling the lead of his general classification, indeed extending it slightly, extending it out to 6 seconds advantage over George Bennett. We thought at that moment that Rafał Majka could well be in a situation to control the yellow jersey right through to the conclusion of this race, but we didn't figure on George Bennett's wonderful form in the time trial as he moved up from 2nd overall to a fine 35-second lead over Rafał Majka after finishing 4th in the time trial yesterday. To Big Bear Lake, that victory taken by Jonathan Dibben of Team Sky. So Bennett now into this final stage, heading down to Pasadena, where 3 years ago Peter Sagan took the success. Heading towards the urban swell, and now just under 11 miles remaining, just over 17 kilometers of racing, and 48 seconds the gap, so they're not making any significant inroads, and I think it's as the road flattens that we'll get a better idea about whether these 6 riders who've been out there for a long time now, whether they have any real chance of hanging on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the point of time when we do work that out. And but at the moment, it looks like they're all taking their turns. They're all working really well together, and not showing any signs of sort of starting to play a bit of cat and mouse. Really, they're just really committed to this. So I think it's going to be hard for this bunch of the favourites peloton here to bring them back.
Six riders clear Less than 15 kilometres remaining on the final stage of the Amgen Tour of California. It's the Rally Cycling team trying to put it up to the World Tour squads once more. The continental level team, Division 3 outfit, managed to take a wonderful victory into Santa Clarita on stage 4. Can they repeat the alchemy? There are a few spectators getting a little bit frenzied with excitement as the 6 riders flash by in this breakaway group. Down to 40 seconds their advantage. Maximum lead they had all day, 1 minute and 15 seconds. And that is not a big bunch. And just how much cooperation is in there. It's probably less than half the size of the bunch that left Mountain High.
Interesting to see Talansky and Peter Sagan were having a bit of a chat then.
Care to speculate on what the substance of that conversation might have been? You attack first, I'll go next.
Well, no, I think, obviously Talansky's going to want to bring that second back on Rafał Majka. But I think he was it was probably just checking out how keen Peter Sagan was on anything going forward here now.
Probably not that keen at all.
Well, I think he's obviously very keen on making sure that Majka keeps the second place. So I don't think he'll let Talansky go anyway.
Well, indeed. David Lopez has been relatively quiet in this race, but he's got an excellent opportunity for a second successive stage success for the Sky Pro Cycling squad. Ian Boswell sitting handily placed overall. Slipped to 5th in yesterday's time trial. After yesterday's time trial, it was really not an event to suit him. But Boswell still handily placed for a very strong finish in a World Tour event. Led the Sky Pro Cycling squad, the Team Sky, with great honour, great strength in the climbs all week. Lopez has put himself in a solid position as well. It's yo-yoing, isn't it? From 48 seconds down to 40 seconds. Then the next indication we get is 46, and then back up to 50. And these miles are clicking down. Inside, not too much more than 11 kilometres of racing left, and the peloton sitting at 50 seconds remove. And just how many riders are willing to contribute here? Team Lotto NL Jumbo have managed to get their riders. They've taken a bit of a breather and they've headed back up towards the front now.
Well, the thing is, Lotto NL Jumbo don't actually need to ride at this particular point. They just got to make sure that Bennett is kept safe, and with that, making sure that no one, certainly a particular green jersey, goes up the road, and with that they're safe and sound and can get into the finish. I think it's more a question of whether Talansky wants to have an opportunity to sprint for a potential podium finish, because we've got to remember now, okay, there's still some fast guys in here, and obviously Sagan is here and Matteo Trentin, but after that I haven't seen whether Degenkolb made it over here or not. But if he didn't, then all of a sudden we're fully open to a sprint where Talansky may actually be able to pull something off.
Well, Trek Segafredo have riders in there. Team Katusha have 2 or 3 riders, and there are none of these riders in this group are going to win this race unless they close down those 6 up front. So cooperation is required. Well,
cooperation from the guys who are keen on the stage, yes, definitely. From the leader's point of view, the yellow jersey point of view, not really all that bothered. He's got enough of a gap on Lachlan Morton to let Morton's and his group of friends here go to the finish with this, and it would actually suit him quite well doing that. But the other guys are definitely going to want to do whatever is required to get themselves back into the game and actually fighting it out for a stage win. And like I said, I forgot about Zabel. I think he's still in there as well. So there are a number of fairly fast guys still in that group.
Nice graphic illustration of what the finish line looks down in Pasadena in front of the convention center. It's basically a long straight run through the last 5k, and then a left-hander followed by 2 right-handers inside that final kilometre. The roads are relatively wide in this neck of the woods, so there's an excellent opportunity for a sort of a straight sprint. Is not the right way to call it, but that's the sort of racing that we've had all week, and it's the sort of characteristic that makes US racing so compelling and so interesting and so popular, I think, with the European riders.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to be riding on roads where you always have enough space to do what you want to do. Um, Although with this particular finish, like you said, it's a 5K dead straight road, and then coming into to a left-hand turn with 900 meters to go, and then you got 2 right-hand turns to come back up towards the finish line again. I think the finish is roughly about 500 meters long, maybe a bit less than that, and then yeah, that's actually 500 meters. Yeah. So it's a bit technical, but still, like you said, the roads are wide enough to negotiate the corners.
Plenty of interest here from Trek Segafredo in closing this one down. I wonder if it's still at 40 seconds. Big turns coming through from the Trek Segafredo squad. They've got Markel Iritzar, who's been a Trojan helper for them all week. I wonder if John Degenkolb isn't safely in that group and capable of sprinting for what would be his first stage success in this race. Lopez.
And first stage of success for some time, actually, since his accident, if I'm not mistaken now. Yep, that's...
Well, Degenkolb safely there. He's just sitting to the right of Peter Sagan in those red and black colours, just chucking a beat on away. But Trek Segafredo have got their man in there. He is a pretty good climber, isn't he, for a sprinter?
He is very good, very, very good.
Not maybe quite as good as Peter Sagan, but better than some of the other specialist sprinters. And he's never really seen himself as simply a specialist sprinter. He sees himself as a real all-rounder, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and I think that's fair to say as well. You know, he goes well in the classics. He can do just about anything. But you know, today I think it's been quite close to the limit of what he's capable of climbing-wise. But it means that he's still there.
While he's there, Marcel Kittel is not there. Matteo Trentin is safely in there for Team Quick-Step. And obviously Peter Sagan will be a bit of a warm favourite at the moment, but they've got to close these 6 riders down. Quick reminder again, Lachlan Morton, what a brave effort from him. There's the riders in that chase group behind. They're stretched thin. They've got reinforcements. Trek Segafredo want to close it down. And Bora Hansgrohe will be all hands to the pump as well to try and get Peter Sagan into position. Those are the teams that will take responsibility for this. The overall leader, the overall race leader, is in here as well, George Bennett, and he's all just about making sure that he makes it safely through these final 4 miles. Just less than 7 kilometers of racing. Can they get back on terms with those riders?
That's still a big gap. These 5 riders now, we've just lost Kuss. But they've certainly got a very, very big gap still. Okay, 6.5 kilometers to go, but they're still working very well together. We can just spot them down the back there.
David Lopez, I haven't seen him drifting to the front too often on the shots we've had. Lachlan Morton hasn't been found wanting, though, has he? The Team Dimension Data rider. Nicholas Ede rolling through. I say rolling through, he's grimacing through. He's putting everything into trying to make it.
Well, Morton is, I think, in a bit of a dangerous position there for Geoghegan Hart.
So Sepp Kuss has been distanced by his erstwhile breakaway companions. There's still 2 rally cycling team members up front. One in the blue jersey of Most Courageous Rider, the other one in the orange jersey, the team jersey. Lachlan Morton here for Dimension Data, and he has an opportunity perhaps to move up a few places on general classification, and that's why David Lopez of Team Sky hasn't been making any contribution to the effort of late. It's understandable he's in there as a threat. It's understood. It's accepted by the other riders, and that's what's giving him really a great opportunity, perhaps to springboard through to take these stage honours today. Still showing at 40 seconds. Is it all of that? It's certainly close. It's going to be very close. Down to the final few miles, down to the final 5 kilometers of racing in Amgen Tour of California for 2017.
Well, Lachlan Morton sits at 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the general classification. Sam Oomen is 2:15, and then he got Geoghegan Hart, who's on 2:12. Vegard Langen on 1:54, and then there's a bit of a move up to Jan Boswell, as it's at a minute. So Lachlan Morton could potentially move himself up to 6th overall if he manages to hold on to these 40-odd seconds.
Yeah, 8 seconds, regardless of any time bonuses on the line, would carry him ahead of Theo Geoghegan Hart. So Team Sky have plenty to be a little bit anxious about. Any value perhaps in dragging Lopez back to contribute to the chase?
I don't think so. I think he's better off just trying sitting up there protecting. But what would probably be a good idea would be for Boswell to get up and actually contribute to the chase in the bunch, just to help out Geoghegan Hart's GC position.
Yeah, Ian Boswell is heading to the top general classification position for a Team Sky rider in 5th position, but would he have the strength to contribute here? Because, as I say, they need all the help they can get. Their latest update is 37 seconds. It's looking good now for these 6 riders. Make that 5 up front. Sepkus still in between. Has he been absorbed? Well, regardless, he's not involved here. Evan Huffman is the most courageous rider. They got that blue jersey. Could well have a mountains jersey as well.
Well, it could very well have, and it's a bit of a deja vu. This setup here. Rob Britton, Evan Huffman, and a couple of other boys. Yeah,
I mean, how are they going to work the sprint? Does Huffman get a gap and Britton sits on and jumps them for second? That's the way they played it as they raced into Santa Clarita on stage 4. Are they going to do this one again? Rally Cycling Team have a superb opportunity for an unlikely and improbable double. Here's Rob Britton on the front. He's not going to hold anything back. They're going to hang on to this half a minute advantage for as long as they possibly can. It's not a done deal yet. That's a big group behind, and it's a group with some of the world's very best sprinters. We're inside 3.5 kilometres to go now, and Lachlan Morton rolls through. He's absolutely piling it on. Rob Britton too in his wake. Evan Huffman coming up in the orange jersey. Nicholas Ede safely in there, and David Lopez must be making plans.
Well, Lopez is definitely making a few plans down the back there now, but Morton is very, very keen on just keeping driving on and making sure that he's gaining as many seconds as he possibly can and holding on to as many seconds as he can in this. I don't think he's necessarily too worried about his stage position. Obviously, it'd be good to pick up some bonus seconds, but right now the worry is just, can we hold off these guys, and by how much?
How will Lopez play? We don't think of him as a sprinter. I wonder what his sprint ability is.
He's not slow. He's not slow. Certainly seen him in a few stages in the past where he can actually turn on a bit of speed, and from a smaller group like this, very tactically very smart as well. So the question is, though, how tired are the other guys, and will we see Lopez actually going on a move?
Well, a few little cracks starting to develop there. Morton piles it on again. Rob Britton and Lachlan Morton are the real contributors here. Evan Huffman could well be going for the second stage success. So is Britton trying to set up his teammate, tee him up for a second stage victory. Lopez is going to he's going to cover Morton and Britton here. Nicholas Ede sitting at the back for Team Cofidis has a little anxious look over his shoulder. The gap is still 35 seconds, holding solid inside 3 kilometers to go. Make that almost just 2 kilometers to go. Rob Britton is doing selfless teamwork here for the Rally Cycling Team. Second to his teammate into Santa Clarita, and he in turn also takes an anxious look over his shoulder, down to just over 30 seconds.
Well, Lopez is not moving through here. He's not taking any turn at all, and he's just slowing them down so much right now, just to try and get them back into the bunch here. So it's down to Britton, Morton, and Huffman and Ede if they want to continue this, because the moment you let Lopez up anywhere near the front, it's just going to stop.
Well, I think it's actually pretty much down to Rob Britton, because none of the other riders seem able or willing to contribute. Lachlan Morton went to the back, and he just started to have a little look around. Now we start these series of left-handers, so we're into the closing stages. Rob Britton on the front. David Lopez next up. Evan Huffman crouched low over the bars and making his plan. He's sitting on the wheel of David Lopez. They all know that Lopez is the danger here, because, well, he has formed the threat. He's made the threat by saying, well, I'm not going to work because I'm trying to protect my rider, Theo Geoghegan Hart. I don't want to see him usurped on general classification, and he surely is going to follow through with that threat. Well, they put David Lopez on the front, and Lopez on one side of the road, Evan Huffman on the other as we come into the closing stages. Lopez just rolls to the front.
Yeah, just coming up towards the finish line. We said it was about 500 metres from that last right-hander. And here comes Lachlan Morton.
So here comes Lopez. He's going to lead it out. And Lopez from the front. Does Lachlan Morton have the strength? Ede's going to try and go the other side. Here comes Lachlan Morton from 4th position. But it's Evan Huffman is surely going to get there. Lopez in the centre. Evan Huffman on the right-hand side is shot. And it's Evan Huffman is going to make it a double. It's a second stage success for Evan Huffman of Team Rally Cycling Team. What an extraordinary double. 2 fingers in the air to say we've done it twice. An amazing achievement. The World Tour teams have been bested once again. Peter Sagan is going to try and come around Matteo Trentin, but well, it's for the minor positions. Brave effort, but 1.5 minute down and arms in the air. George Bennett takes the overall success in the Amgen Tour of California for 2017. It's a first ever success for a New Zealander, first success for George Bennett at this level, and that is a wonderfully controlled and measured performance from him and all the Lotto NL Jumbo squad. And what about that from a brave effort from the Rally Cycling Team? Got into a winning break twice in the Amgen Tour of California and played it to absolute perfection. George Bennett is heading to collect the final yellow jersey of the week, and we'll have the podium celebrations after this short break.